An intriguing and dramatic race last week, seeing a fantastic race going on at the magnificent Charlotte Motor Speedway. Showed excellent pace from the drivers, but as the season gets into its swing, the drivers are in the rhythm of high speeds with plenty of wiggle room. It's unclear whether that will be the case tonight. We'll see how the full field of Xfinity Camaros can handle the tight, wide turns of our first short track. Get ready for round 4 of the IROC Challenge Series from Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway. You'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Reese Gardner. And with me in the booth is no one at the moment because, unfortunately, Chris Phoebe is having some technical issues. Behind the scenes is our director, Andrew Cardinal, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. It's the second oldest continually operating track in the US, which means Nashville Fairgrounds has lots of stories to tell. Let's have a look at the track guide to see what the drivers will be dealing with.
The Waltrips, the Marlins, Bobby Hamilton, Jerry Mayfield, legendary names in the world of NASCAR. And they have one thing in common. They spent a good part of their early careers here at the Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway, a track that recently took over the title of longest continuing operating facility in the U.S. from Milwaukee. Cup cars raced here until 1984, B-Class and trucks both left after 2000. This facility may have opened in 1904 at the beginnings of the track we know of today in 1988, but with modernization, it's on its way up. While many consider Nashville to be a half mile, it's actually a bit longer. It's just shy of 0.6 of a mile in length. From the top down, it looks like a traditional oval, and there isn't a whole lot of difference between the 4 18-degree banked corners, at least on that map. But where the character comes in is the bumps. This track hasn't been repaved since 1996 and it shows. But we could go over where all the bumps are, but they only give me about 2 minutes here. But navigating those is the key to a good lap. The All-American 400, one of the premier super late model races in the country, runs here yearly. ARCA has been making stops here again as well, and they have a huge slate of local racing here with street stocks, modifieds, trucks, and even Legends cars. And they are all vying to be that next Darrell Waltrip or Sterling Marlin, as legends are made right here at Nashville's Fairgrounds Speedway.
Well, what a fantastic circuit it is here in Nashville, Tennessee. A very wide circuit, but 18-degree turns and 3-degree straights over its 0.596-mile length. The fact of the matter is this track used to be a lot more highly banked. The banking was around 30 degrees up until the early 1970s, but they decided to flatten it out after that, so who knows how quick this track would have been otherwise. Just a fantastic circuit here at Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway, but it's going to be very tight quarters, and it's expected that it's going to be quite a race of attrition tonight here in the IROC Challenge Series. 150 laps we're going to be racing at here tonight, and of course we have to thank the supporting organizations of this series, including Zoe's Place. The mission of Zoe's Place Child Advocacy Center is to minimize trauma to child victims of sexual abuse and neglect by providing a centralized, safe, and child-friendly facility from which a multidisciplinary team conducts investigations and intervention activities. Their goals are to reduce trauma, seek justice, and foster hope and healing for children and their non-offending caregivers. We'd also like to thank R&R Racewear, your source for all your custom racewear apparel needs, and home to iRacing apparel. Check it out today at r-rracewear.com. Do you have questions about parenting or non-toxic living? Visit evidencebasedmummy.com, where Dr. Samantha Radford combines science and wellness to help parents and kids thrive. We're also proud to celebrate the Lucky Finn Project, who has created a nationwide support network for parents of kids with limb differences and provides limb difference education and awareness. Find more info at luckyfinnproject.org. We'd also like to give thanks to Loud Pedal TV and, of course, 5-Star Graphics. So before we get into the racing action today, let's check out the championship, the way things stand going into this round. Currently, it is Aaron Smith who is leading the way here on 433 points. 401 points is Brandon Mefford, an excellent performance from him, and taking quite a few podiums on his way through. Neil Quick up into third place. His name really should be Neil Consistent with how brilliant his performances have been so far this season. Kevin McCann, last round's winner, sits in fourth. Then we got Jason Higginbotham just behind. He's been making regular appearances in the top 10. Round 2 winner Troy Radford is going to be looking to bring things up here at Nashville Fairgrounds as well. And of course, it's easy to see that the entirety of the top 10 in the championship standings have made their way through and are quite close on the way into this race. In terms of the race details tonight, as I mentioned before, we're going to be racing for 150 laps tonight. Usually 100 laps, but since this is a half mile, we are increasing that race distance. Fixed setups, so everyone is running the same settings in these Xfinity Camaros. The drivers don't get a spare car, so they have to be very careful about how they go about this. And they have three green-white checkered attempts at the very end of the race. We've also got to highlight that there are stage cautions once again in the IROC Challenge Series. They happen at 40% and 75% distance. So expect around lap 60 for the pace car to come out, and again for about lap 112 to 113. So in the final minutes then of the warm-up session, we've got some really good action going on here, and of course the time's incredibly close. We've got Radford on top in the warm-up here, with Widener currently behind him. The top three all covered by 1/10 of a second, but as you can see, even Troy Radford is having trouble keeping it straight here on the reasonably high banking and wide slippery surface of Nashville Fairgrounds. There's also the fact to consider that we are racing at night. So that brings the track temperature down, makes it a little bit more of a slippery job for drivers to do. Kevin McCann, last round's winner, going to start well, he's currently fourth in the warm-up, with David Trumbley in fifth, and this is a good demonstration of the kind of racing that we're going to see. It's a very wide circuit here at Nashville Fairgrounds and very easy for drivers to get loose. The fixed setup is very loose, and Kevin McCann said to us last round that the track is very rear right limited, so we've got to be very careful here. Brandon Mefford is he's definitely got his work cut out for him coming into these turns, and no surprise to see that drivers are doing a typical racing line setup here. Doesn't seem to be much in the way of different lines through the corners here, with the fact that there's, oh dear, there is such a slippery surface, there is such a narrow actual racing line, but if you push hard enough, then you might be able to make the outside line work a little bit later on. So, warm-up is over. Just a few seconds to go as the checkered flag flies. And we can go through our grid here for round 4 of the IROC Challenge Series at Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway. On pole position, it is going to be Troy Radford. Kevin McCann is going to start, well, he was going to start alongside him on the second row, but of course, remember The winner of the previous round has an end-of-line penalty at the start, so McCann's going to be at the rear. Brian McCann will line up in third alongside Chris Mefford. Row 3 shared by Jason Higginbotham and David Trumbley. Dylan Dellinger and Neil Quick will start on the fourth row. There's going to be Hunter Clark and Jared Widener, who round out our top 10. Some good performances there. In 11th place is James Kaufman, starting alongside David Brown. Chris Wally, our series organizer, is going to start alongside Brandon Leclerc. In row 7, Jesse King and Joshua Funkhauser in 15th and 16th. Kyle Pendergraft is going to share the 9th row with Stoney Benfield. And then Mike Koch and Jamie Abril round out 20 cars. Tim Schofield is going to line up in 21st place alongside Bill Walker. Brian Reek and Brian Kaufman are going to be 23rd and 24th. Then we got Cook Quick and Aaron Smith, 25th and 26th. That's not a qualifying performance that the championship leader will be too happy with. Last car to set a lap time there. And then we've got a bunch of drivers choosing not to qualify, including Brandon Mefford, Damon Cox, and Mike Harper. Rounding out our field is going to be Donnie Lyons, along with Matthew Kopp, Ray Radford, Kendall Craft, Curtis Rogers, and Dakota Clark. Well, the cars are all the way now behind the pace car, and goodness me, 36 cars around a half-mile short track, especially considering how cool the track is at the moment. Well, it's not really cool at all, is it? It's 30 degrees Celsius out there, 86 Fahrenheit, as you can see at the top of the screen. It's a pretty warm night out there in Nashville. We're just coming up to 9:15 in the evening, virtual standard time. What can Troy Radford do here as the pace car pulls in? Round 4 at Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway, the IROC Challenge Series will be go once again. Power down, green flag, and they are away. Very tight off the grid here, but Radford gets the advantage coming into turn 1, and he's going to make up some good time there on Chris Mefford. Brian McCann trying to protect the inside from David Trumbley, who's really making some good power around the outside. Got to take care, though. It's very tight quarters all throughout the field. We've seen a lot of drivers already making up 2, sometimes 3 places. Up 3 spots is Brandon Leclerc into 11th. Stoney Benfield up into 15th. Still protecting the inside then is Brian McCann, trying to keep himself in the top 3 as Trumbley in the number 96 tries to round him up around the outside. It's definitely taking the advantage on the entry to the corners. But when it comes to the exits, looks like McCann is squaring it up very nicely. Troy Radford with the fastest lap so far. He's not involved in a battle. He's just streaking out at the front. Seems to me that Chris Mefford is holding these guys up for second on back. Brian McCann is trying his best to work out a space here, and it looks like he does have the space to move up finally. So after 3 laps of racing, finally on lap 4, he moves on to the racing line on the straights. But it seems that David Trumbley is still looking for a little bit of the high line magic there, and it seems that a lot of them are trying to take a late apex here in these early stages. That could definitely help them out when it comes to tires. Remember, it's very loose here at Nashville Fairgrounds. If you're running a bit too tight in the turns, you don't want to scrub off your fronts too early. And here we go, there's already a caution out. Looks like there's been a crash back in the field, or a spin. Jamie Abril, the car involved in that one, and looks like there might be a little bit more to this when we eventually go to our GSRC replay. Oh yes, I've seen Kyle Pendergraft is the driver. That one out. Pendergraft was running wide in turns 3 and 4, hit the wall, and then just went straight into Abril. That is a huge shame there for Jamie. Nothing he could do from that. It was very difficult to have a good reaction time to something like that when a driver hits the wall right in front of you. We'll see it on board here from Abril. And there's, as you can see, when it happens up ahead, he won't have much time to react. There's just so many cars in front of you. When the Red Sea eventually parts, you don't have much time to get it done. Well, yeah, there we go. I think he could already tell that the number 14 was getting into the wall, but bouncing off as much as he did, and with Abril already committing to the exit of the corner, There wasn't much he could do. Either way, pace car is out, and no surprise to see that Kyle Pendergraft has made a visit to the pit lane thanks to the damage sustained in that incident. We've also seen Mike Koch come down into the pit lane as well. I'm not too sure why, though, but he is back out on track, is Mike Koch. And the 00 will be in 35th place, a lap down on the leaders. But Pendergraft, meanwhile, has a lot of damage to his front end. There is no bumper on that number 14 Camaro. So, as Koch comes out, he's actually 6 laps down on the lead. It has been a torrid start for him. We also see Ray Radford in there as well. He's making an early pit stop. This will be interesting to see. The only car to not take the start is Gary Ragland, which is a little curious. Number 71 not doing anything in the race session. 4.5 second pit stop for Ray Radford. He's going to jump on out now. And going to come out right behind the rest of the field. Lights are still on the pace car. So it's still Troy Radford who leads from Chris Method up at the front of this field. This is going to be quite an interesting race here. We're only 1/15th of the way through this 4th round at Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway. Quite a long race that the drivers are going to have to deal with here. So, we'll send to a very quick break here on the Global SimRacing Channel. We'll come back when we're ready to go green. You're watching the IROC Challenge Series.
Spartan Transportation and Spartan Logistic Management is your one source for all your shipping needs. 53-foot dry van shipments, auto transport shipments, full-service in-house brokerage, drop lot facilities, just-in-time deliveries to all auto manufacturers, facilities in St. Louis, Missouri, Kansas City, Missouri, and Indianapolis, Indiana. Spartan Logistics LLC, proud sponsor of the IROC Series, Kyle Steffens UMP Modified and Silver Crown Driver, and Gordy Gundaker, World of Outlaws late model. Visit us at spartan-logistics.net or find us on Facebook.
And just in time, green flag flies and we are racing again at Nashville Fairgrounds. Troy Radford making a good start there, getting into the lead, protecting from Chris Method. Brian McCann this time in the number 3. Definitely gets himself onto the racing line quickly, but have a look at this. They're getting involved with the number 14 up at the front of the field. Kyle Pendergraft coming out of the pits, and he is right in the midst of everyone. This is going to be quite difficult to negotiate. A damaged, slow car down on the bottom. Not much potential here for big side-by-side racing with having to negotiate that, but you can see the amount of pace difference here. Poor Kyle Pendergraft, he is definitely in the wars at the moment, especially considering he's right in the midfield now. All these drivers will be fighting tooth and nail for positions. Troy Radford leading by 0.7 of a second here as Pendergraft continues to let people by cleanly. That's the number 81 of Joshua Funkhauser trading places with Jesse King. That's for 13th place. Pretty good battle between these two, actually. Running side by side, and Jesse King trying to get the power down around the outside of the corner. Highline doesn't seem to have the advantage here early on, but the more rubber is laid down on the racetrack, the more that might turn out to be a different case. We'll see how they do then. Jesse King's got Stoney Benfield not too far behind him as well, and Benfield is really having to face off against Chris Wally, who's trying to regain some places after losing 3 spots early on, and oh dear, looks like there's a pass for 6th as well. Jarrett Widener and Neil Quick fighting hard here. Quick takes the position back. It's going to be side by side again, but the number 88 has the advantage ever so slightly on the way into the corner. Gently does it, boys. Troy Radford has broken away to the point that he is not considered part of any other battle now. It is definitely a race for 2nd, and, well, forget that, a race for 4th as Jason Higginbotham tries to get past David Trumbley. Trumbley was very quick early on. He was trying to make his way past Brian McCann, but seems that he has lost some pace now. once we're into our 19th lap. Remember, the drivers only get 4 sets of tyres, so they're only going to be able to make it a quarter of the way into the race if they want to use all 4 sets of tyres, and I think tyre preservation might be an issue here. It's going to be very hard on the tyres here at a short track, and that is Trumbley losing fourth, to Jason Higginbotham, who is continuing to show magnificent pace in this series. There's lots of battling still going down in the field, and have a look at that. Higginbotham is absolutely streaking away. There's been a lot of space now worked out at the front of the field. More racing back in the midfield, though. Mid-20s here, the 22 and the 23 trying to trade positions. This is 26th and 27th, Matthew Kopp and Cook Quick in the number 23, stuck on the inside. And it looks like outside line working out well there. So, lots of battling going through this field. There's more trading for positions back in 31st and 32nd as well. Dakota Clark grabbing that place from Ray Radford. Dakota Clark starting up the back of the field and making up 4 positions, doing quite well here at the moment. Most positions in the field gained, though, is Brandon Leclerc. He's just passed David Trumbley for 7th spot and is now up 7 places. Fantastic job from him. Excellent stuff. So now the field is starting to work into single file running, and just as I say that, the yellow flag is back out again. Matthew Kopp has gone for a spin there. Number 22. Looks like Donnie Lyons might have been involved in that one as well, potentially. That is a big shame for those guys. So down the field will go Matthew Klopp. We'll get a replay of that on board with Klopp, and there was contact in front. Donnie Lyons getting spun by the number 14, and number 14 is a lapped car. So that's going to be an issue for the stewards, potentially. Ending up coming off the worst out of them. So we'll get the exterior view of it now. Number 14, Kyle Pendergraft, making contact through, I believe, turns 1 and 2. Yes, indeed. Coming into turn 2, yep. Round goes Lyons, and Klopp ends up having to concertina and gets bumped from behind. So, unfortunate there for those guys. And they'll go again. Fortunately, no other cars involved. Well, now that resets the field. And it looks like Jamie Abril is coming into the pit lane in the number 20. Takes some good advantage here. Remember, he was spun under the first caution. He managed to get back going. He didn't go to the pits that time, but he has decided to get some more fuel in the car that time around. Fuel only stop, no tires. He's going to try and make these last as long as he possibly can. There's no other takers onto pit lane as of yet, but we'll have to wait and see whether or not the rest of the field decides to make a visit to the pits. We are only on lap 27 of 150, and that is that is just over a sixth of the way through the race. So no point in coming in to change tires at this point. And considering strategy, I would say, not being a huge oval guy myself, that 4 tires would be the way to go at a place like this. It's a very rough track here at Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway. A lot of force going through those tires. A couple of laps now left under pace car conditions. And the lights are still on the pace car, so we're going to be out here for a while longer. But I gotta say, Ray Radford and Donnie Lyons went for the lane as well. 4.7 stop for Radford, 5-second stop for Donnie Lyons. Those guys definitely going or actually they're still on the lead lap, so a good time to come in and get that service done. If you're pitting under green flag, you'd stand a chance of losing somewhere in the vicinity of 2 laps if you pit under green, so caution, easily the best time. The field is forming up into 2 wide though, because the lights are off on the pace car. And Troy Radford still with the advantage here. Matthew Kopp is going to take this start ahead of everyone else. Kopp still a lap down here now thanks to getting spun there, and he is pretty heavily damaged. So there's going to be an issue here for the leaders to try and make it their way past him when we go to green again. Matthew Kopp will take that start, and he'll streak away from the rest of the field, try not to make himself too much of an issue on the start. But we are away. And Brian McCann securing third there from the hard-charging Jason Higginbotham, who's making his way very nicely through this field. He's up one place only, but we should keep an eye out for him because his pace is magnificent. Side by side for minor positions at the top 10, and oh no! Yellow is back out again. That was contact between David Brown and Dylan Dellinger, I believe. And that created a big concertina, almost involved our championship leader, Aaron Smith. And Smith will fall back down to 18th as a result of that one. Deary me, we'll get a replay of that one. Let's see what the contact was like. Going too wide, you see on board here with Dellinger, the number 7 comes around, and on the exit of the turn potentially, we're back a little bit of a ways. Dellinger tried his best to get it done on the way into turn 1, I believe, and ended up almost spinning the number 7. But fortunately, there were no other cars involved in front, at least. Get the view on board here from David Brown, because he was the one who... oh, dear. Yeah, that's contact with the number 5, actually. Number 5 of Dellinger, who out of existence ever so briefly. So, internet issues coming into play here. We'll get the exterior view and keep our eyes on the number 7. This is something that you experience all the time in online racing. You see that when the contact was made, Dellinger did not appear on the track, so the sim still registered the contact. One of the big dangers of online racing. We'll get a view from the number 70 of Aaron Smith. He got involved in this as well. Currently down in 18th thanks to this. He is the points leader, so he can't afford to have too many incidents like this. Actually looks like Smith was to the outside of that incident, so he managed to just escape. It was another yellow car that was involved in that one. Well, Smith is still making up good places here. Remember, he started in the mid-20s in terms of positions, so he's working things out nicely. But if he doesn't start to make tracks, he is going to fall out of the points lead potentially. We'll have to wait and see. He did start down in 26 spots, so it's still been a profitable night for him in these first 34 laps. So Troy Radford still in the lead. And this time around, we're not seeing anyone make visits to pit lane as they start to form up again here. Radford has definitely been the driver to beat here at Nashville Fairgrounds. Donnie Lyons in the number 79, the only car to come through the lane that time. Completed his second stop of 5.1 seconds. All right. We get things started again here in a moment. Lights are off on the pace car. It's only one lap to go until we go back to green flag racing. What can Chris Mefford do here to try and overcome Troy Radford? Brian McCann, in his interview with us last time out, did say that the Meffords are the drivers to beat on the short tracks. Well, it seems that, at least in the early stages, that assessment was slightly inaccurate. Brandon Mefford is down in the midfield. 15th and 16th is the positions that he's fighting for at the moment, and Chris Mefford up into second. What can Brian McCann do to try and make an impression here on the race lead? We go green, and Troy Radford, undisturbed up the front of the field, gets it done. But Jason Higginbotham is trying to round Brian McCann here for third place, and looks like he's just about getting it done here. Outside line is starting to come into fruition. Have a look at that exit there from Higginbotham. He is level with McCann on the way into turns 1 and 2. Much more aggressive entry, but McCann with the shorter line through the corner is keeping him honest. Yep, a little bit of oversteer though. Wasn't quite able to get the power down and loses third place to Jason Higginbotham. It's interesting to note that McCann is downshifting in the corners. It's a very short gear ratio that they use on these short tracks, but seems that McCann is trying to get a little bit more torque in the car. Here we go. Have a look at this. This is pretty fantastic. Working back in the field. Seeing the number 41 of James Kaufman here fighting with Jesse King for 12th place. Jesse King managed to just get it. They've got the number 7 with them as well, and that is David Brown just up ahead. They're going to try and work themselves out quickly. Majority of the field has fallen into single file, and oh no, it's another spin. Oh, and that's created another incident, a proper pile up here in, I think that's turns 1 and 2. Oh, it's David Trumbley who's gone for a big old spin, and that has involved plenty of cars. Dylan Dellinger, Brandon Mefford, Jesse King as well. Dakota Clark and Kendall Craft might have been involved in that one as well. We'll get another view of it here. So Trumbley on the inside, and number 25 trying his best here, but got a bit checked up behind the number 7, and then there was contact on the way down the straight there with the 41 of James Kaufman, and Kaufman managed to escape the ensuing carnage. Well, that is going to put a lot of drivers' races on the back foot. Some minor damage involved for those drivers. Here's the view on board with the number 41. So you'll see the 7 get checked up here on the exit. 25 goes underneath them, or tries to at least, but then as they try to go side by side here through turns 3 and 4, Kaufman unfortunately going for it. That's a big shame. Well, very interesting incident indeed, but we'll get one more view of it from Mike Harper here in the number 4. And as this incident happened in front of him, he got well and truly involved, and it happened so fast. It was a big pack of cars involved in this incident, and oh, he had to check up himself. That was a further incident, and then it happens in front of him, and he has to check up and go around. Very good incident avoidance there from the number 4. ARCA brakes here in the IROC Challenge Series. Well, as the field is now under caution, we'll go to another short break here on the Global SimRacing Channel, round 4 of the IROC Challenge Series from Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway. Troy Radford in number 94 leads.
Spartan Transportation and Spartan Logistic Management is your one source for all your shipping needs. 53-foot dry van shipments, auto transport shipments, full-service in-house brokerage, drop lot facilities, just-in-time deliveries to all auto manufacturers, facilities in St. Louis, Missouri, Kansas City, Missouri, and Indianapolis, Indiana. Spartan Logistics LLC, proud sponsor of the IROC Series, Kyle Steffens UMP Modified and Silver Crown driver, and Gordy Gundaker, World of Outlaws late model. Visit us at spartan-logistics.net or find us on Facebook.
All right, lights are off under pace car. And we are not going green. There's still a few laps to go here. There's still some positions that have to be sorted out here as the caution is still on. Chris Wally, our series organizer who works very hard to get this series off the ground, has extended the caution by a single lap. So we'll be under pace car conditions for at least one more lap here. But I have to say, Jason Higginbotham up in third now and working himself out well versus Brian McCann. Now he's on the inside line for the starts, and it'll be interesting to see if he can try and line one up on the race start. He'll be starting right behind our leader, Troy Radford, who is more than likely going to go early at the end of this pace lap. Some excellent pace being put on there from Radford. 19.287 is his fastest lap so far. But we will go to the green flag now, and it looks like lining up the start well. But unfortunately, Higginbotham has not followed him, so Jason is going to have to still make some room for the number 3 on the outside. Brian McCann, with a nice straight exit, is going to get third place back, at least for the time being. Higginbotham loses the overlap, and they are through, having to make way for the lapped car of the number 54, Hunter Clark, who I believe was involved in the incident that brought out that last caution. And wow, there's so much close racing going on here. Under the start of this green flag run, Aaron Smith just losing the position to James Kaufman there. Those drivers fighting over 12th place. But McCann has managed to clear Higginbotham, get third back, and proper single file running up at the front of the field now. Still plenty of pressure being put on all throughout the field. The caution has come back out then. Oh goodness. There's been an incident with Jamie Abril and also the likes of Jesse King and Kyle Pendergraft. The number 40 of Curtis Rogers into the pit lane shortly before that. And oh, okay, trying to pull into the pit lane was Rogers, but the incident happened on track. It was 3 wide on the way out of turn 2 there, and oh god, that is huge. I'd estimate about 6 or 7 cars involved in that, so running high. The number 57. And they run 2 wide on the way into the lane. 54 going wide, but yeah, there we go. 3 wide contact. The 57 making contact with, I believe that's the number 4. And sprawled across the racetrack, involving an awful lot of cars. That's a big shame. But we have seen a lot of takers to the pit lane. Kevin McCann visiting. Looks like Stoney Benfield, Tim Schofield. No, not Stoney Benfield. He hasn't gone into the pits, but Schofield has in the 12. Brandon Mefford in the 83. Donnie Lyons in the 79. And Jesse King as well onto the lane that time. And considering their pit stop times of around about 13 to 15 seconds, they have taken tyres. Damon Cox with some heavy damage from those previous incidents. Jamie Abril currently in the lane, and he has been stopped for some time. Abril has had a bit of a torrid race so far. Lyons coming back into the lane again. Coming around a couple more times. Might as well top up the tank, get a bit of extra fuel, try and make up positions later on. Mike Harper is in the number 4. And he was the car involved in the incident that brought out that caution. Side-by-side contact out of the corner down the straight. But he will re-emerge onto the racetrack just level with the pace car, so he'll be able to come back around to the rear of the field. Very convenient there. So, lap 54 of 150. And we're rapidly approaching the end of the first stage here. It should last 60 laps, considering 40% race distance for the first stage. Depending on how long this caution lasts, the drivers might only be able to get a couple of laps of green flag racing in before the stage caution comes out. Drivers being let by the pace car there. That was Jesse King being released to make his way back around to the rear of the field. So in the midst of all of that, the top 17 cars, plus Matthew Kopp in 19th, have yet to visit the pits. Everyone else has gone through the lane at least once tonight. And too wide we go as the pace car is in, and we're not going green. That caution has been extended right at the last second. So now it's going to be 2 laps to green. Bit more time for the drivers to sort themselves out. I think the caution was extended because we still had the likes of Mike Harper making their way back into the lanes. The pace car did come into the pits, but now it will re-emerge. And the leader's lifting off and letting him go again. Our AI-controlled pace car. That was a very quick pace lap. Out of the pits and into the pits for the iRacing pace car. So now the start will fall under the control of Troy Radford once again. We go green to start the 57th lap. Brian McCann getting third back from Jason Higginbotham under the last green flag run, but he's under a lot of pressure here. Had to compromise his exit because Chris Mefford was on his outside. And trying around the outside is the number 88, Jarrett Widener, trying to get a place back here on Neil Quick. You see him right there. Goodness gracious. He's really rapid here on this green flag run, but unfortunately not quite able to get the overlap on Quick that he wanted. Briefly fell under pressure from Brandon Leclerc in the number 21. The caution has come back out here for Curtis Rogers, and I think that this caution might blend into the stage caution. So that is the end of the first stage here at Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway. 48. Curtis Rogers involved in this, so we'll get another view of it. What on earth happened? Rogers was having to deal with the still damaged number 14 on the inside, but it looks like he was tapped from behind. Okay. That's interesting. We'll have to get another view of that. Rogers having to deal with Dylan Dellinger, the number 5, who gave him a tap on the exit of turn 2. There. Dellinger might have a penalty coming his way from that. We're not too sure. But it is the stage caution, so everyone, save for Chris Mefford, has come into the pits. And they'll get fresh tyres. So, in the midst of all of that, Cook Quick, having pitted 18 laps ago, moves up into second. Brandon Mefford, Kevin McCann, your effective race leaders here. Roy Radford falling to, Troy Radford, sorry, falling to effective 4th. So a very interesting sequence of pit stops there. That is interesting to see, because Radford's pit lane time was actually quicker than Mefford's and McCann's, and so was his pit stop, but Mefford getting a 0.5 of a second quicker pit stop done. So that's what has moved him into the effective race lead. Radford now in overall 6th. Mefford the only car left to come into the pit lane. Ah, yes. My apologies. I have not been looking at my numbers. Troy Radford came into the lane that time along with Brian McCann, Jason Higginbotham, Quick, Smith, Leclerc, Kaufman, etc. Mefford, McCann, and Schofield, the number 83 of Brandon Mefford, I should highlight, they pitted 11 laps ago. So they then move into the top positions. All right. Here we go then. This is going to be an interesting new sequence of the race. We'll throw to a very short break here on the Global SimRacing Channel. You're watching the IROC Challenge Series from Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway.
Spartan Transportation and Spartan Logistic Management is your one source for all your shipping needs. 53-foot dry van shipments, auto transport shipments, full-service in-house brokerage, drop lot facilities, just-in-time deliveries to all auto manufacturers, facilities in St. Louis, Missouri, Kansas City, Missouri, and Indianapolis, Indiana. Spartan Logistics LLC, proud sponsor of the IROC series, Kyle Steffens UMP Modified and Silver Crown Driver, and Gordy Gundaker World of Outlaws Late Model. Visit us at spartan-logistics.net or find us on Facebook.
Pace car lights are off at Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway. And Chris Mefford and Cook Quick will be starting on the front row here for this next green flag run to begin the 65th lap of racing here. Mefford taking it easy on the start, and there we go. The Meffords are together at the front of the field. And remember what Kevin McCann said at Charlotte, the Meffords are a force to be reckoned with at short tracks. Well, they are running 1 and 2 at the moment. Chris Mefford, though, he hasn't come into the lane yet. He's coming up to 65 laps here on this set of tyres. Brandon Mefford pitting 14 laps ago, and Kevin McCann the same as well in the 33. But Troy Radford on a fresh set of tyres just behind. He's going to be looking very quick. Let's have a, well, speaking of quick, we got Neil Quick, Cook Quick, sorry, getting rounded up here by Aaron Smith for 8th place. Neil and Cook Quick both together in 8th and 9th now, as Smith moves up into 7th, up 19 spots here. An excellent job done by him. Our points leader. He's going to keep himself on that outside line on the way into the turns, but just cutting low to try and get the best exit possible. Look after his rear tyres. Radford trying his best to make his way back past Kevin McCann here. He's going to be stuck on the inside, though. Outside is where you want to be on the entry to the corners, but evidently those fresh tyres working out fantastically for the number 94. He moves back up into overall 3rd. Now, his target is the two Meffords at the front of the field. Have a look at this side-by-side meanwhile. This is looking fantastic in the midfield. 12th and 13th, James Kaufman fighting with Joshua Funkhauser. And trying to round up the number 23 is Tim Schofield. Cook Quick still holding on to a position in the top 10. There's contact. Tim Schofield getting tapped from behind by the number 4 of... goodness gracious, there's so many cars involved in this one. The number 41 of James Kaufman was involved in that, tapping from behind. Wow. All right. These green flag runs are looking very short here at Nashville. Here is the exterior view of the fight. And, wow, yeah, number 12 just getting tagged from behind. And then that created a big concertina. A lot of drivers having to make way here, getting on the brakes. Trying to get back going there was the number 12. We'll have a look once again here from James Kaufman's view. He got a really good run out of turn 2, and he decided, okay, I'll have a go at the number 12, but no, the door very quickly shut, and he was sprawled across the racetrack, getting hit from the side by many cars back in the field. And it's looking like your Woolworths parking lot at turns 3 and 4. Well, Troy Radford has moved up into 3rd place now. And we see lapped cars being let by the pace car. Interesting to see that Brandon Mefford has still not visited the pit lane. Those tyres will be screaming for some mercy, but I've got to say, sorry, I've gotten the Meffords confused. It's Chris Mefford who hasn't visited the pit lane yet. Fact of the matter is, I think this might be a good thing in the long run for Chris, because he has got another 3 sets of tyres in the back pocket. Everyone else only having 2 more sets of tyres to complete the last half of the race. So Chris could potentially afford to bolt on fresh sets of rubber in quick succession. Into the pits, Joshua Funkhauser, unfortunately getting himself involved in the incident that brought out the caution, I believe. We have Dylan Dellinger in the lane as well, but it looks like Dellinger is out of the car potentially. Not too sure. No, actually it looks like Dellinger is still in there too. Kyle Pendergraft in the lane as well. Brian Kaufman, though, is out of the car in the pits in the 01. Very unfortunate there for Brian. It's going to be a retirement for him in the pits now for 2 minutes and 18 seconds. Lights are off on the pace car. Let's go for it. The Methods 1 and 2. It was the McCanns running 1 and 2 at Fontana before they unfortunately came together a mere 4 laps from the end. Will the Methods be able to pull this off? Into turn 1 they go, and Troy Radford is on the attack, trying to fight for second here with Brandon Mefford. But the outside line is with Brandon on the exit. Diving underneath. We'll get a sense here for the difference in tyre age here, as the move is completed for second, and Brian McCann thinks, okay, you're going to go through, Troy. I'll try and follow you. Brandon Mefford could potentially fall down to 4th here. He's getting rounded up very rapidly by Jason Higginbotham as well. On board here with Higginbotham, and you see the momentum that he gains in the mid-corner, but the exit is still with Brandon Mefford, and he's going to keep pressuring Brian McCann here to try and protect 3rd place. You see Radford just up ahead. He's almost trying to get past Chris Mefford here. He dives up the inside into turns 1 and 2. Excellent job there. The drivers giving each other plenty of space. That was a wall hit there for Brandon Mefford. He falls into 5th, and it's side by side for the lead. Troy Radford getting it done on the exit. There's still a bit of overlap there for Chris Mefford. He can still pressure him on the way into the corner, but the momentum is with the number 94, and Troy Radford moves back to the race lead. End of lap 80 then. Some dicing between Aaron Smith and Neil Quick. Remember, Aaron is the points leader, so he's got to be very careful. He's already carrying some damage to his left rear. He got a tap a little earlier, but it doesn't look like that has affected his suspension geometry all that much. And he moves up into 6th. Neil Quick has to yield on the inside. Smith's next target is going to be Brandon Mefford, who was really shuffled, and you can see that the rear end of the number 83 is almost non-existent at the moment. There's dicing back in the pack. Meanwhile, Jesse King and Jarrett Widener are fighting quite hard here for 16th place. There's still 21 cars on the lead lap here at Nashville Fairgrounds. Now, what will the number 25 do here? Trying to round up the number 12 of Tim Schofield on board with Tim. And remember, number 12 was spun to cause the caution before last. He's giving him a good race, though. There's no rear bumper on the back of a lot of these Camaros now, and quite a few of them missing front bumpers. Doesn't affect you too much here on a short track. Number 75 of Stony Benfield trying to do it. And meanwhile, Aaron Smith has rounded up Brandon Mefford, and he's got the inside and has worked the low line very nicely. Mefford's going to try his best to hold on here. Gets a little bit of momentum in the mid-corner, and Smith is not quite able to maximize the track width here. This is slowing him up a bit. He's losing touch with Higginbotham, McCann, and Chris Mefford up at the front. This is excellent stuff here from Brandon Mefford, an excellent defense. But this is bringing Neil Quick right back into it, into the battle for 5th. Will Smith be able to get it done on the way into turn 1 here? There's still some overlap. So he still has to go tight. Have to negotiate a lapped car as well. Got to be gentle. We're past half race distance now. And Mefford is looking pretty supreme there on the high line. He is still keeping Aaron Smith very honest, and the number 14 of Kyle Pendergraft just up ahead of them. This might complicate things a little bit. Of course, in oval racing, blue flags are pretty much non-existent. You don't have to let lapped cars by. There's no obligation to pull over and let them go. But it looks like Pendergraft is going to do just that. He's going to do the courteous thing and let these guys continue their fight for 5th place. Mefford is just excellent off the high line. This is fantastic racing that we're seeing between these two titans of this league. It looks like Chris Mefford up ahead might be facing off against Brian McCann for 2nd. It looks like 5th is decided for the time being. Successful defense from Brandon Mefford, but his brother Chris is under pressure now from Brian McCann. They've got the number 54 lapped car there as well. Has to go low. They're going to be 3 wide on the exit. This could be complicated. Oh, they give each other plenty of room. That was Hunter Clark that they had to make their way past, and now they have to deal with Jamie Abril as well. Oh, there was almost contact between them, but only just does Brian McCann secure 2nd place. Got the overlap on the exit where it counted, and he'll be through. Some brilliant racing here in the mid-phase of the race, and awesome to see that we've got drivers on such differing strategies here. But now Chris Mefford is reaching the end of his 93rd lap on this set of tyres, so that car will certainly be a bit of a handful in these corners. And just as I say that, the caution comes out, so that gives a chance here for Mefford to make his way into the pits. Tim Schofield looks like the car to bring out that caution. It's the 2nd caution that the number 12 has been involved in. We'll go to a replay here to see what on earth happened. So, number 12 on the outside. And it looks like he might have been tapped from behind here. Oh, okay, yeah. Car going underneath him. And, oh, more contact on the way down. That's a big shame there for Tim Schofield, involved through no fault of his own. He got tapped from behind just before as well. Bill Walker in the number 19. That allowed the 22 to get underneath him, and also the... oh, goodness, yeah. Just way too deep there from the 17. That was Dakota Clark who tapped him around. Very unfortunate. Well, finally, Chris Mefford comes into the pit lane. Now, is he taking tyres? Yes, he is. Car is up on the jacks. And that was a mammoth stint on those tyres. He's joined by Jesse King, Bill Walker, Cook Quick, Damon Cox, Donnie Lyons, and Kendall Kraft, all making their way into the pit lane. These guys battling around the 17th to 21st place in terms of positions. It looks like Cook Quick is going to win that race off pit lane. Coming out of the pits there is Chris Mefford. He'll re-emerge in 15th spot. Well, we'll see how the last 54 laps of this race will work out for Chris, because he's definitely done well to make that first set of tyres last as long as they did. But everyone else in his vicinity from the lead to 16th are on tyres that are at least 37 laps old. The oldest tyres in the field at the moment belong to Brandon Mefford and Kevin McCann. They're both coming up to the end of their 46th lap on these tyres. So Brandon Mefford is going to be the one who has to watch out for hard charging from Aaron Smith and Neil Quick in 5th and 6th, and Kevin McCann also on tyres of the same age, so he's going to have to keep an eye out for Brandon Leclerc, David Brown, David Trumbley as well. Stoney Benfield going in for a second stop and bolting on another fresh set of rubber. This is going to be Stoney's 4th stop of the race overall, and it gets done nicely. Coming up to 100 laps here, 2/3 race distance. And the track temperature has actually gone up a little. It's up to 88 Fahrenheit. That's 31 Celsius for those of you who live in metric land. But the air temperature staying the same at 86 Fahrenheit, 29 Celsius. Well, the amount of hard racing that's been going on, all the load being put through these tyres, definitely doing its bit to heat up the racetrack. This race is set in the middle of May in Sim, so that's coming up to the height of summer. And of course, Nashville, Tennessee in the south. A lot of hot temperatures down there as we go back to green flag racing, 52 laps to go here at Nashville Fairgrounds. And Troy Radford back into the lead where he started this race, and have a look at that. He is wasting no time getting himself ahead of everyone else. Brian McCann and Jason Higginbotham briefly dicing over second, but they'll work that out. Aaron Smith, meanwhile, he works his way up into 4th place, and that is going to be the inside there on Brandon Mefford. Can he secure it? The caution has immediately come back out. That is a spin for Dakota Clark in the number 17. Escapes back off the track. Brian Reek in the number 11 has also been involved. Wow. Short and sweet green flag run, that one. It looks like contact here between Reek and Clark potentially. Oh yeah, that happened ahead of Reek. Clark making contact with another car, and Brian, unfortunately, didn't have many places he could go to avoid that. Get a view here on board from Dakota Clark. Was side by side with Reek and managed to make up the position, and Reek having to yield those places, but they were 3 wide briefly, and the number 23 here up behind. Oh goodness, yeah, there we go. Actually, it looked like Clark hit the wall. Didn't look like there was contact with another car there. Regardless, Brian Reek, an innocent victim in all of that, I believe. Aaron Smith has come into the pits meanwhile. And I think once that caution come out, he decided, yeah, all right, I've been on these tyres for a bit. I'll try and bolt on a fresh set. Like a 14.3 second stop time, which is consistent with taking tyres in this series. So your top 5 at the moment: Troy Radford leading, Brian McCann 2nd, Jason Higginbotham in 3rd place, and they got Brandon Mefford on the oldest tyres in the field, 52 laps completed on those. Same for Kevin McCann in 6th, Neil Quick in 5th. So, as we prepare here for the run to the finish, we'll go to a quick break here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Thanks very much to the supporters of this series. You're watching the IROC Challenge series from Nashville Fairgrounds.
Spartan Transportation and Spartan Logistic Management is your one source for all your shipping needs. 53-foot dry van shipments, auto transport shipments, full-service in-house brokerage, drop lot facilities, just-in-time deliveries to all auto manufacturers, facilities in St. Louis, Missouri, Kansas City, Missouri, and Indianapolis, Indiana. Spartan Logistics LLC, proud sponsor of the IROC series, Kyle Steffens UMP Modified in Silver Crown Driver, and Gordy Gundaker, World of Outlaws Late Model. Visit us at spartan-logistics.net or find us on Facebook.
Well, who is going to take victory here at Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway? Troy Radford and Brian McCann is going to be starting on the front row when we come off this caution. Lights are off on the pace car. And McCann has definitely shown he has what it takes to make up places at the start of a green flag run, but Radford has been supreme starting from the front. No one's really had an answer for him tonight. We'll have to see how they go as they make their way out of turn 4. And Radford gets on the power nice and early. And that is a good run. He'll have a completely clear track on the way into turn 1. Unfortunately, number 3, Brian McCann, having to make way for Jason Higginbotham on the inside, so slightly compromised on the way through. Oh, a little bit of oversteer there for the number 44. That's going to bring the 83 of Brandon Mefford into it as well. This truly is a race for second, as it has been for the majority of the night. Radford untouchable out front. He has come here well prepared, the fix set up to his liking. The caution is back out. It's another incredibly short green flag run, and who on earth has been involved in that? Damon Cox and Kendall Kraft, both involved in that little scuffle there on the 106th lap. Now, as we go to the replay, these guys were racing in their own pack, and it looks like Kendall had to check up a bit on the exit of the corner and got tagged from behind by Hunter Clark, and unfortunate there for Damon Cox. Got well and truly bumped into the inside wall. Here's the onboard view from him. Yeah, there's the checkup, there's the spin from the 72, and there wasn't much he could do from that point. It all happened so quickly. Well, there's going to be a bunch more pit stops here. Kevin McCann and the 33 coming into the lane. We've also had Neil Quick, Brandon McClare, David Trumbley, Troy Radford making his way in as well. And Radford emerges from the pits there in 9th overall. We've also seen Jarrett Widener and David Brown making their way into the lane too. Damon Cox comes into the lane too, and fair enough as well, getting involved in the incident that brought out the caution like he did. He still remains on the lead lap though for the time being. So the race is still not over. 40 laps to go. And this is around the point where we'd expect the second stage caution to come out. So we shall see what the majority of the drivers do. Brian McCann has stayed out of the lane, it should be highlighted. Car number 3 has 52 lap old tyres, and it looks like it's the same for Brian Reek as well. Reek on his second set of tyres still as well, but missing a few parts, it has to be said. He's made his way up into the top 10 though, so this could work out in his favour in the final stage of the race. Another driver who's been on their second set of tyres for a long time is Matthew Kopp, down in 21st place. The number 22 starting to come up to the 52nd lap on that set of tyres. He is a lap down on the lead though. So if he can bolt on a fresh set at the next caution, he stands a chance of making his way back onto the lead lap in the final stages, because there's already been plenty of cautions tonight so far. And there is bound to be at least a few more in these last 38 laps. The field forms back up then. Brian McCann and Chris Mefford on the front row here to take the start. Cook Quick has moved up into 3rd here, with Troy Radford now starting back in 10th place. The green flag flies and Brian McCann is away, but he's getting pressured massively by Chris Mefford. He goes deep. The number 3 goes deep and briefly loses the lead to Chris Mefford. Whoa, that was almost game over there. But outside line will work in his favour on the exit. At least he'll hope. They're level across the line. What a gap there. 0.06 of a second separating them at the line. What a brilliant battle as Mefford then makes his way into the lead, but McCann's going to try and dive back underneath him. The top two have a nice gap to the rest of the field here. They can afford to fight like this for the time being, but McCann will conclusively lose the lead to Chris Mefford there. What can he do to try and get it back? There's 36 laps of difference between those drivers in terms of tyre life, and that is a big crash that's happened back in the field. Jarrett Widener, one of the drivers involved in that. And it looks to me like it was a case of drivers potentially checking up on the exit of turn 2. It was contact between David Trumbley and David Brown, just ahead of Jarrett Widener. Go to a replay to see how it happened. So, yeah, there we go. Oh, that is such a shame for the number 88. He was he didn't do anything wrong there. It was just a case of two drivers up ahead here, Trumbley and Brown in the number 7. Contact on the inside. Brown gets sent up into the wall, and there was nothing Jarrett Widener could do. See the view here from Widener. This is how it looked from his perspective, and you can see that, I mean, where could he go? He was boxed in on the outside. Car in front of him, car to his inside. So definitely nothing doing there, and he'll have to just take the L for the time being and potentially go into the pits and get some damage repaired. But it's Chris Mefford and Brian McCann still up at the front of the field. Not many drivers have decided to come into the pits under this caution. One has, Tim Schofield and Brian Reek, two I should say. Schofield and Reek in 20th and 21st. I would presume that that's a fresh set of tyres for the both of them. 11.7 second stop for Brian Reek, 14.5 for Tim Schofield. Jamie Abril is back in the pit lane as well, and it looks like this is a fuel-only stop for Jamie. Going to try and stay on the lead lap here. Abril down in 26th place and a couple of laps down. Actually, it was an 18.2 second stop. So I didn't see him go up on the jacks. I might have been a bit blind there, but we'll see what he can do in the last 30 laps of this race. We should be expecting us to be going green with 29 laps to go, at least thanks to my estimation, which indeed could be wrong. I've been wrong plenty of times. Over on our friends at SimSpeed TV, who I usually commentate with, we have the old Gardner gaff, and I'm pretty sure that I've done that a few times already this race. We'll see if the lights come off on the pace car here and we can get back to green flag racing. There we go. Yes, indeed. So the field will form back up here. Chris Mefford, pretty fantastic battle with Brian McCann to get the lead back. They're going to have to keep an eye out for Cook Quick and Jesse King behind them. Also Aaron Smith. He's on tyres that are only 18 laps old, but the youngest tyres in the top 10 belong to Troy Radford, Brandon Mefford, Jason Higginbotham, and Brandon Leclerc, bringing up the rear of the top 10. Here we go then. They form up 2 by 2, and Mefford goes early. That was right in the middle of turn 4. And that's going to work out nicely. They have to negotiate a lap car of Jesse King. No, actually, Jesse King is in 4th. My apologies. I saw his damage and assumed that he was a lapped car, but he is fighting for those top positions, and he has squeezed Aaron Smith a little bit to the inside. Going to try his best to hold on to a top 4, maybe a top 5 at this stage. And I think it is going to have to be fighting for a top 5 because Smith has enough overlap on the inside to try and make this work. Or does he? Because Cook Quick is looking slow. There we go. Had to force a check up there for Jesse King. And they're going to go 3 wide. King gets spun. Makes contact. We stay green. He didn't spin perpendicular to the racing surface. But man, poor Jesse King. He's moved back into 19th place thanks to that slight incident there. Troy Radford on board, trying to get by the number 23 of Cook Quick. And makes quick work of that. with 15 lap younger tyres. Radford now back up into 4th, and he's going to work his way forward pretty quickly, I'd say. Aaron Smith might be his next target here. We'll keep an eye on the lap times now that they're in reasonably clear air, but have a look at this four-way fight. This is brilliant. Mefford, Quick, Higginbotham, Benfield, all involved in this fight. Radford sets a new fastest lap of the race, 19.27. He is on an absolute charge right now, but we'll keep our eye here on this fight. Number 23 of Cook Quick, trying to work his way past Stoney Benfield in the number 75, but he loses the spot there to Neil Quick. It's too wide just behind them between Trumbly and Leclerc, and there was almost contact there on the exit of turn 3. What a gaggle of cars this is. They've almost lost touch with the top 4 with the amount that they've been fighting. You can see that Kevin McCann has made his way into this fight as well, and the number 33 definitely lined up Cook Quick very quickly. I gotta try and work out a better word to use there, but here we are. Troy Radford, he's now right on the back of Aaron Smith, setting those incredibly quick times, still running faster than him on the last lap as well. Not by much, but it's going to be enough. All right. Mefford, McCann, Smith, and Radford. Your top 4 all on screen at the moment. Aaron Smith was the fastest car on track last time by, 19.538, so he's still got some pace left in those 28-lap-old tyres. And he's trying to line up Brian McCann, who has now started his 72nd lap on this set. And just in time, the caution comes out. And it looks like Tim Schofield once again involved in an incident to bring out a caution. Schofield has been the field's punching bag here tonight. Let's see what happened. This was contact with Jesse King, who we saw lose a lot of positions early on. And looked like Schofield actually got the rear end loose and went up into King on the exit. That's a shame for those two. So the field will be reset, and we'll see how many of these drivers decide to jump into the lane. We'll get another view of it with the number 12 running slightly high. He had to check up a little bit because there was a small incident up ahead, but that's the view from Matthew Kopp. Fortunately, he avoided that, but the two cars coming together. A little bit of a jink to the right-hand side is more than enough to induce chaos, as we see Cook Quick in the pits with Bill Walker. Tim Schofield also jumping into the lane as well for his 7th visit to pit lane. James Kaufman in there as well from 18th spot. We'll see how much damage Schofield has gotten from that. It looks like he is taking tyres. Nice fresh set to get the final 18 laps underway. Don't forget, we have 3 green-white checkered attempts in the IROC Challenge Series. As those pit stops are completed, we'll throw to our final break of the night. Thanks very much for tuning in, everybody. It's been a fantastic night of racing so far, and there is plenty more to come.
Spartan Transportation and Spartan Logistic Management is your one source for all your shipping needs. 53-foot dry van shipments, auto transport shipments, full-service in-house brokerage, drop lot facilities, just-in-time deliveries to all auto manufacturers, facilities in St. Louis, Missouri, Kansas City, Missouri, and Indianapolis, Indiana. Spartan Logistics LLC, proud sponsor of the IROC Series, Kyle Steffens UMP Modified and Silver Crown Driver, and Gordy Gundaker, World of Outlaws Late Model. Visit us at spartan-logistics.net or find us on Facebook.
16 laps to go, coming up to 15 in round 4 of the IROC Challenge Series here at Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway. It's been a night full of cautions and hard racing action. Track temp has gone up another degree Fahrenheit here, but the air temp has gone down 1 degree. It's now down to 83. So it looks like the air temperature is fine, but the racetrack is starting to feel the heat here as the drivers prepare to get ready for their next green flag run. Not much in the way of wind speed either, so we're not going to be seeing much in the way of air disturbance for these cars. Not that there would be anyway, because they're racing at a pretty slow average speed around a short track, though they do carry quite a bit of pace around Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway. Early getaway for Chris Mefford. And that's a pretty good run for him. Brian McCann, though, he's stayed out on that set of tyres, and it looks like he might be on those to the end at this stage. He's committed to that, and he's going to lose spots here. Troy Radford gets up his inside. Aaron Smith has already made his way into second. And Radford trying his best to complete the move. That's the thing with short track racing. You often take a lap, sometimes more, to complete an overtake. And we've got to keep an eye out for Higginbotham in the number 44 as well. He's getting himself involved, and he is dragging Brandon Mefford and Neil Quick with him. Kevin McCann back up into 8th place. We see it, Tim Schofield has gone into the pits once again, this time under green flag conditions. He's been in there for 43 seconds. So now, let's have a look with 10 laps to go what these drivers will be able to do. Some trading for places in the 11th to 14th area meanwhile. David Brown and David Trumbley, Chris Wally and Cook Quick. And oh, here we go. Yellow flag back out. What has gone on here? I'm wondering if this is a manually... No, it's not a manually called safety car. The number 48 and the number 22 potentially involved in this. Alright, well, we'll get another look at this to see what on earth happened. A lot of difficulties for these drivers. Oh god, that was a proper hit there, and it looks like it happened again. Goodness gracious. That's a big shame for the number 48 of Curtis Rogers. And it looked like it might have been the view on board here from Abril. Yeah, oh, it looked like there was a little problem there for the 48 off the corner, but he managed to get it done. Oh man, and Abril just went too deep there, door shut, and then, well, 1 hit, 2 hit, red hit, blue hit. We'll have to see whether or not the damage carried from that incident will come through to the end of the race. Either way, those drivers are going to be very slow. So Chris Mefford still in the lead here. 47 lap old tyres. Aaron Smith with a late charge to the front, but he's dragging Troy Radford with him, and Radford has been the fastest driver on track tonight. 19.27 is his fastest lap. From what I can see, no one else has been able to get into the 19.2s on race pace. They've all been 19.3 or higher. Next fastest lap that I can see is Jason Higginbotham, 19.301, so an extra few hundredths there for the number 94. Definitely the driver to beat tonight. And as things stand, Mefford and Smith could beat him, but we'll have to see. 7 laps to go. If there is a incident big enough to bring out a caution in the last few laps, then we will go for a green-white checkered, and we have a maximum of 3 green-white checkered attempts. And I think with the amount of cautions that we've seen tonight so far, A lot of the drivers will be very happy to see the back of Nashville Fairgrounds because it has been an absolute bull ring of a track here tonight. The lights are off on the pace car. We will be going green at the end of this lap. And the drivers will be getting the 5 laps to go warning, and they'll be hoping that no one comes together and brings out the first of our potential green-white checkers. I do love short track racing. It's just chaos all the way through, especially a track that's pretty rapid like this one. So pace car into the pits. Chris Mefford will control the start, and he goes. Troy Radford is right with him. Put the power down lovely. Aaron Smith did as well. So it's a 3-way fight for the lead of the race. Who will come off the best out of this mammoth 35 car field? Oh no, there's been a crash. Oh, that's a shame there. It looked to me like, is that the 21? Yes, it is. Number 21, Brandon Leclerc, now in a position that reflects his car number. And that was a contact in the middle of the turn 3-4 complex. Looks like he came together with the 75 of Stoney Benfield. Benfield got up the inside and gave him a tag. And he was helped around. Unfortunately, was Brandon Leclerc by David Trumbley. It was still not quite at the point where we could go for a green-white checkered. As we check out the chopper view of this, Leclerc got round the outside of Benfield. That was a very well-executed move, but unfortunately, on the way in, just looked to me like either Leclerc came down or Benfield suffered a bit of understeer on the way into turn 3. Fortunately, no other cars were involved in that. We'll get the view on board here from David Trumbley. It was a very quick green flag run here. Trumbley now up into 11th thanks to this. He was side by side with the number 7 of David Brown, and there's the incident. Trumbley, well, I think from his perspective, that was the only place he could go. The gap was opening, but still making a little bit of contact with Leclerc. 3 laps to go. The first of our green-white checkers is in effect. So let's hope the drivers will be able to complete these last 3 laps without incident. Last 2 laps, my apologies. That's 2 laps of racing action with an extra lap under caution. And there's no takers on pit lane. So who has the youngest tyres in the field right now? It looks like Kendall Craft has been out of the pits for a lap, but I'd say that Damon Cox has the youngest tyres in the field because it doesn't look like Kendall Craft put fresh rubber on the number 72 through that. Youngest tyres in the top 10? That's a bit more of a complicated question. At the moment, it looks like Kevin McCann. But everyone's pretty close in terms of tyre age except for Brian McCann, who has come on to his 92nd lap on these tyres. How has he made those things last? I have no idea. But Troy Radford, 41-lap-old tyres. Aaron Smith, 48-lap-old tyres. Chris Mefford, 55-lap-old tyres. And those are your top 3 in inverse order. So you'd say that the advantage is with Troy Radford here, but he's going to have to make his way past a couple of cars here in just these last 2 laps. Off they go, and that was a slow start there from the front. Aaron Smith had to check up a little. He was slightly ahead of Chris Mefford when they were coming up to the start. Troy Radford not able to take advantage, and oh no, it's another caution. That's going to be the second of our 3 green-white checkered attempts. A big spin, big crash for James Kaufman in car number 41. It looks to me like together with, oh, okay, this, we're going to have to dissect this a bit. David Brown got a slight hit from the number 88 of Jared Widener. And then, as Brown spun, he came down into Jesse King and James Kaufman. And that's where the incident happened. Another view on board here with Kaufman. Oh, goodness. He had no time to react there. Make your way into the turn. The car's already loaded up. You can't make any big alterations to your line. So when a car immediately gets hit into your path, there is nothing you can do. We'll get a replay here of that restart. And we see that big checkup. Oh, goodness. Yeah, that was that wasn't the smoothest green flag we've seen. And Brown, well, yeah, I think he was just set up for some difficulties there, and unfortunately the car moved back through the field, and Mr. Kaufman came off the worst out of everybody. Okay, we'll be going green at the end of this lap, I believe. Number 72, Kendall Craft, back up to speed and making his way towards the rear of the pack. Kendall Craft is the leader of the cars a lap down. We still have 31 cars in this race and 22 cars on the lead lap. Just grabbed the lucky dog, did Kendall Craft, so is now 1 lap down on the rest of the field. Okay, here we go. 1 more lap under caution before we hopefully go for a 2-lap shootout to finish this off. I've got my fingers crossed that it'll be a nice clean start and we won't see the kind of concertinaing that we saw under that last green flag start. At the moment, I'm starting to think that Aaron Smith might be the one with the advantage. He'll be starting in second. He's got tyres that are 7 laps older than Chris Mefford's. But always keep an eye out for Troy Radford. Inside line might be advantageous on a short run, but there's every chance that Radford will be boxed in. So the pace car will move into the pit lane momentarily. You can see that Mefford is already trying his best to put the power down and find something to work with here. Those rears will be crying out for some mercy now. It's rear right limited, this track. Got to be careful not to spin. And they do not as they take the start. But it's very rapid here from Smith and Radford. Smith on the rear bumper of Mefford. Radford to the inside. The yellow flag has come back out, and this is going to be the final opportunity for a green-white checkered from here. If we go back green and the caution comes out, then that will be the end of the race. Now, it was another incident back in the pack that happened here. We'll have to see. Looks like number 22, Matthew Kopp, might have been involved in this one. Oh, dear. Okay, that's a little different from what I was expecting. A driver spinning off the start here. It's the number 81. Okay, well, no other cars involved in that one. But Joshua Funkhauser might be feeling a little red in the face. Taking the start in turn, spinning up the rears on the restart, and that has cost us one more chance at seeing a green flag finish. But at the end of it all, Troy Radford did make his way past Aaron Smith before the caution came out. So this is crucial here for the number 94. If he can come back here and get another win on the board, it'll certainly be welcome. Remember, he won at Fontana when the McCanns came together right near the end, and this will be his second win of the season if he can pull this off. But of course, this series does have penalties for winning. If you take 2 wins, then there will be a further disadvantage that you'll have to execute at the next round. Still, more points on the board is definitely nothing to sneeze at. Half a lap to go under caution. Actually, 1.5 laps to go, I should say. Lights are still on the pace car. So this is where the money is made. The actual final 2 possible laps that we can get a finish here. And the drivers have the chance to make up positions. Have to say that Aaron Smith and Brandon Mefford, still a big shout out to those two in 3rd and 4th. They've gained 23 spots each. They've worked their way up through the melee very nicely. Cook Quick also up 14 spots to make it into 11th. And Damon Cox up into 15th place, up 13 places. Amazing to see that he's been able to pull that off with damage to the front and the rear of his car. These guys up the front looking reasonably clean, at least the top 2. You start to see dints and bumps in these cars the further down you look. We'll see what Aaron Smith can do to try and hold off a podium spot here. Brandon Mefford is on tyres that are 7 laps younger. Early start here from Chris Mefford, the final green-white checkered of the night. Let's hope that we can pull this off. Good start from Mefford. Smith takes 2nd back from Troy Radford. Oh no, Brandon Mefford's gone for a spin, and that's going to be it. That's going to be it. A big pile-up to end the race. Oh no. That is huge there. Looks like Mefford got tagged from behind by Jason Higginbotham. And that is what ultimately got it done. So Chris Mefford's going to have to check up there as the rest of the cars involved in the crash just get away from him. And we'll see what on earth happened. And try and dissect what went on here. But it is finishing. And across the line will come Chris Mefford to take home victory here tonight. Aaron Smith into 2nd, and just at the end, oh no, is that a penalty there for Aaron Smith? I'm not too sure. I think that was some around under the pace car. No, it wasn't. Smith into 7th spot. Something went wrong for him there. I'm wondering if he jumped the start. Might have been on the... yeah, he took the start on the inside. Either way, that unfortunately has cost Aaron Smith a podium. Let's see what happened here. All right, well, we'll see what happened here to Aaron Smith. And then we'll have a look at the crash that brought out the caution. Start looks fine to me. I'm not too sure. And then we see the crash there as Brandon Mefford gets spun, and that involves pretty much half the field, at least out of the cars still running. That was huge. Well, that ends it then. Checkered flag has flown. Your top 3 are Chris Mefford, Troy Radford, and Kevin McCann. We'll go to a very short break here on the Global SimRacing Channel as Mefford does the reverse lap in victory celebration. When we come back, we'll have our official race results and interviews with our top 3.
Spartan Transportation and Spartan Logistic Management is your one source for all your shipping needs. 53-foot dry van shipments, auto transport shipments, full-service in-house brokerage, drop lot facilities, just-in-time deliveries to all auto manufacturers, facilities in St. Louis, Missouri, Kansas City, Missouri, and Indianapolis, Indiana. Spartan Logistics LLC, proud sponsor of the IROC series, Kyle Steffens UMP Modified and Silver Crown Driver, and Gordy Gundaker, World of Outlaws late model. Visit us at spartan-logistics.net or find us on Facebook.
Well, a very chaotic race here at Nashville's Fairgrounds Speedway for round 4 of the Spartan Transportation IROC Challenge Series. Chris Mefford is your race victor there, with the finish under caution using up all 3 of our green-white checkers. Troy Radford is going to finish in 2nd spot, with Kevin McCann in 3rd. Brian McCann is going to come home in 4th, with Stoney Benfield rounding out the top 5. Bill Walker with a magnificent run through the field. We didn't see much of him, but he finishes 6th in the end. And Aaron Smith having to give up spots at the very end. We're not too sure why. David Trumbley, Jared Widener, and Jesse King will round out your top 10. For 11th place, it was Matthew Kopp gaining 20 spots, most positions gained in the field, with Joshua Funkhauser coming home in 12th. James Kaufman is going to finish lucky 13th, then it's Cook and Neil Quick in 14th and 15th. David Brown in 16th, with Brandon Mefford down to 17th. He was on for a podium potentially, but got tagged from behind by Jason Higginbotham to end things. And we've got Chris Wally, Brandon Leclerc, and Kendall Craft rounding out our top 20. In 21st is Jason Higginbotham, and I'm sure there'll be words and apologies potentially exchanged between himself and Brandon Mefford for that one. Damon Cox and Brian Reek come home in 22nd and 23rd. Curtis Rogers and Tim Schofield round out the top 25. Jamie Abril, 4 laps down. Donnie Lyons, 7 laps down. We got Hunter and Dakota Clark, 12 and 14 down respectively. Kyle Pendergraft still taking the finish there, 17 laps down. Unfortunately, it was a retirement for Ray Radford, and Dylan Dellinger will come home in 33rd. Another retirement for him, with Brian Kaufman and Mike Koch also retiring. Gary Ragland did not take the start. So, now we move on into our interviews with our top 3, and the first, of course, is going to be the number 46 of Chris Mefford. Congratulations, Chris. That looked like a very tough one with the amount of cautions we had.
Oh yeah, it was definitely tough. At the end of the first stage, I was debating whether to come down and pit or not, but I know we only ran maybe 25 laps on the green, so tires weren't too bad, but then we had a really good long green flag stint there, and that's allowed Troy and Brian around me.
Indeed. Well, how did you approach pit strategy in this one? Because there were plenty of cautions in this race. I know that you definitely were considering going for tires under the final stage caution, but how did you approach it from the start?
I really didn't have one coming up there through the start. I just knew I didn't feel like I was pushing very much there at the beginning of those runs or at all in that first stage, except for on those restarts. And then I stayed out, and I was like, man, this thing actually handles pretty decent compared to the guys behind me who had, a lot newer tires than me. And then once they wore off, you can definitely tell. So I knew once I started falling back and those guys was going to stay out, we had, I think, 10 laps to go on that final stage. So I really didn't get no stage points there. However, I did get the win.
Indeed you did. And looking at the series schedule, next up we go to Talladega. You'll be starting end of line there, but not a bad thing considering it's a super speedway.
Yeah, it's all survival there. I mean, I enjoyed racing those, but man, it's just anybody can win. I mean, my grandma could win if she wanted to. It's just you gotta stay clean, stay in the draft, and follow Chris Wally to the front because he likes to go 3 wide.
All right. Well, we'll see how that works out for you, Chris. Anyone you'd like to thank before we let you go?
Yeah, thank you guys for the broadcast. It looks very, very, very good. Thanks for Wally and Pendergraph for putting up with all of us each and every week. Congrats to Troy and Aaron. I'm not sure what happened with Aaron there, because iRacing was fudged tonight. So, congrats to them guys. Good hard battle between me and Brian. Definitely made me earn it. And like I said, him and those old tires at the end, I'm not sure if he came right fourth, fifth, but I mean, not pitting that last stage with everybody being super aggressive, that's pretty good. Shout out to Racer Riley. Thank all the sponsors, Spartan Logistics, Evidence Based Mommy, Lucky Finn Project, Zoe's Place. We are having a race coming up for Zoe's Place and Ellie's Place. All the donations go to each one of the proceeds, and hope to see everybody there.
Yeah, go to the IROC series Facebook page for more information on that. Thanks for joining us. Chris Mefford, number 46. Next up, I think maybe we should have a talk to Aaron Smith because, as Chris highlighted, it was a bit of an interesting end to the race. G'day, Aaron. And could you just explain to us what happened at the checkered flag from your perspective?
Yeah, well, that last caution came out, and we had to get past that big old wall of cars in the backstretch. And then I saw the pace car coming out in turn one, and I didn't know if we had to wait for it or not. So I stopped on the track to try to make sure I didn't get a black flag, because if the leader went by and I didn't, I could have gotten the win out of that. But I guess it didn't count against anybody, and I had a bunch of cars pass me. So not too sure what the deal was there, but I think they're going to look back at it and just give us the spots we had at the moment of caution. So I guess I'm still the second place finisher. I'll take it.
All right, cool. Well, for the time being, we will assume that is the case. It was a fantastic fight up through the field for you. Qualifying didn't quite go your way, though. Was that a calculated move, or were you having problems?
No, I just tapped the wall coming out of turn four to take the checkered there. My second lap was quick enough to put me second on the grid, but I just breathed on the wall a little too hard there and ended up starting in 26th. But dug my way out of the hole and almost made it work. I was certain I was going to finish second to somebody. I was thinking it was going to be Troy because he was the quickest all night, but it ended up being Mefford there. So it was a decent race to the end there. A couple tricks were being played on those restarts I wasn't much a fan of, but I wish I could have gotten a chance to get him in the bumper. Had a couple good runs getting into the corners there and wanted to rough somebody up. Didn't get my elbows out all race and wanted to do a little bit of that before the checkered came out, but I guess that'll just have to wait. Looking forward to Talladega.
As are we, Aaron. Anyone you'd like to thank before we let you go?
Yeah, I'd like to thank y'all for broadcasting, all the folks at the IROC Challenge for putting the show on. I'm looking forward to getting back at it in Talladega, seeing if I can get that second win of the season.
Indeed. We'll have to see then. Number 70, Aaron Smith. We're presuming second at the end of this race. And finally, we'll have a chat to the number 94 of Troy Radford. Pole sitter here, Troy. It looked like you were the driver to beat for the majority of the night. Unfortunately, just didn't come together at the end. Did you think that maybe you didn't have enough time to really mount a challenge thanks to the green flag runs being so short?
Yeah, that was pretty much it. I mean, I had pretty much decided what I was going to do as far as strategy going into pretty much going into the race. So I stuck with that plan. I didn't go crazy or anything like that. And Chris did a really great job of just getting back to the front and maintaining that lead. So that was, by the time you get at the end of it, you don't think about it, but you're gonna have so many dang cautions that it's just a lot easier for the leader to control. Even though I had a lot better tires than him, I needed a 20 lap run to be able to work something around him instead of those little 3 lap runs.
Yeah, and just give us the perspective of what it's like as a driver to race around Nashville Fairgrounds, because it is a very rapid track. It's actually flatter than it used to be before 1972. So there's still plenty of load being put through these tires, and it is wide, but there's not much room for racing out there.
Yeah, I love the short tracks. That's kind of what I grew up racing, and it's where I excel at. A lot of these guys I really struggle to contend with. The McCanns and Smith and them. I'm just kind of, a little bit of second fiddle, which is cool. But I love it whenever I can come to these short tracks and really be able to, compete up there for the win. And that's kind of like Chris and I have been running for years, and we both started on these short track series and stuff like that. So it's good for us. We enjoy them.
Well, we hope to have another chat with you at Talladega in a week's time. Troy, who got it done for you tonight?
Of course, big shout out Lucky Finn Project, as well as National Kidney Foundation, Evidence Based Mommy, as well as you guys over at Global Sim Racing, and Chris Wally for putting everything on and putting up with our crazy butts.
Well, thanks for joining us, Troy Radford, number 94. That is the end of this broadcast here, but before we go, we want to give one more big thanks to the sponsors and supporters of this series, including Zoe's Place, R&R Racewear, Evidence Based Mummy, Lucky Finn, Loud Pedal TV, and 5-Star Graphics. We also want to give a big shout out to the organizers of this series. Of course, Spartan Transportation, we can't forget them either. Thank you so much for your support of this brilliant championship, and Chris Wally definitely putting in some fantastic efforts here to get this series off the ground. Thanks to the team today, Andrew and Dougie. Make sure to check out our social media, website, and merchandise store listed on the screen. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel as well, so you don't miss a moment here on GSRC. The next race in the IROC Challenge Series is going to be at Talladega on the 1st of September. And make sure to check out our other broadcasts as well. Up next, of course, is going to be the Grand Prix Legends Series on GSRC. You'll be able to catch that 9:30 a.m. Eastern on Saturday. Until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.